This is going to be part 2 of my 3-part series comparing the new Texbo bag against a fairly new Saddleback. So this is the Texbo Real Thick Cowhide Leather Men's Shoulder Briefcase Fit 17-inch Laptop Bag Tote compared to the Saddleback Classic Briefcase in large size. Both are this dark brown color. Texbo calls their color essentially brown, and Saddleback refers to it as dark coffee brown, but very, very similar in look. So in this video, we are going to dive into the interior of the bags and see if we can differentiate between the two brands, the design choices that were done differently. So looking at the interior of the Saddleback bag first, they use this really tough pigskin lining on the inside. You can see stitching as it goes through. You can see rivets as it goes through. It's very well done. If you come close, you can see that though the pigskin lining is a very thin thickness compared to the overall leather, it is extremely tough. However, it does come with scars, and some of them, if you look just from my previous video, I'm a little concerned about the separation on this particular bag of what was considered a scar, but nevertheless, it has not failed me. The interior of the Saddleback also uses a metal bar wrapped in the same pigskin leather that goes across the top that basically holds the shape of this bag so that there is no creasing or folding in the middle. The Saddleback bag does not have that. The Texbo bag does not. So looking at the Texbo bag, the interior of this bag is lined with a soft touch, what feels like suede-like material. That all the stitching rivets you could actually feel underneath, but are hidden underneath this. So you get just basically one solid panel. That changes the bottom here to a really thick nylon material that doesn't tear and handles really well. So the difference in these two bags being that this is probably a less expensive material used on the Texbo as compared to the more expensive pigskin lining used in the Saddleback. In terms of functional use, this does just as well. And this suede doesn't stain, doesn't get damaged, and hasn't torn. If you look at my old bag over here, you will see that the interior has held up very well. Exact same suede. You can see that there's probably more creases here where you can kind of see the rivets going through, but otherwise it's done well. And the nylon lined interior, done extremely well. Hasn't torn, no cuts, no fraying around the edges, no fraying of the stitching, has essentially held up. Going in further, in terms of the interior of the Texbo, they make a couple different deviations from Saddleback's design. First, the two pockets on the interior side are lined with nylon rather than leather. That allows them to collapse down very nicely and expand out. These are also actually deeper and larger pockets, but because they expand out, it gives you a larger negative space than you will see when I show you my Saddleback in a little bit. However, if you need to fill those pockets, they are extremely deep. How deep, you ask? Well, let's see. So in my previous bag, I want to say it was 8 inches if you watched my previous video. So let's see if the design has changed in any way at all. If we drop this all the way down to the bottom, hold it against here, 8 inches exactly. So exact same design. I really like it. The Saddleback pockets are not as deep and stick out and use up some of the negative space. It makes you not want to use this front pocket. And I just like the way Texbo does it better. This nylon material keeps you from being afraid of just shoving and throwing stuff in there without really worrying about your bag. And really, when you have a nice bag and a beautiful leather bag, last thing you want to do is baby the bag and be afraid to put things in because you're afraid you'll damage it. This key leash here, also made of very, very nice clip and holds on tightly. Does what it's supposed to do as a key leash. So, looking at the Saddleback. The interior design of the Saddleback basically uses this pigskin leather design, and it follows all the way down, extremely smooth. It also uses the exact same pigskin leather design along both areas. Essentially anywhere where Texbo uses nylon, Saddleback uses pigskin leather. They have another key leash as well, and it comes with usually a little Saddleback keychain that, in my particular situation, matches the color of my bag, but not always. The front pockets here, like I was talking about, these are the ones that use up that potential negative space in the bag. They just pop out and they don't stick. And the bags they stick, it's because it's been a long time with people shoving stuff in the front, pushing this pocket back, that eventually stays back in. It's not exactly what I want to see in a leather bag. However, Saddleback does have two very nice things. They have a small pocket here and a small pocket here that is missing in the Texbo. So it gives you two more pockets. It doubles the amount of pockets you have. However, the pockets that do remain, especially the large front pockets, are smaller and about half the size of what the Texbo is. So interesting enough, they don't really add up that closely. Looking elsewhere within the bag, I think the biggest comparison between the interiors of the bag is this metal bar here that exists on the Saddleback and does not exist on the Texbo. What does that cause? What is the issue? Why did Saddleback put it in? This is the problem. In the Texbo bag, without that reinforcement, it starts to fold. And you can see there's a crease that folds right here. It doesn't happen that often. It's when your bag is relatively empty usually that fold starts to occur, but it can get a little frustrating because it doesn't look as put together, but it also allows that bag to be super floppy and super compact and allows that bag to crush down and kind of fit whatever size you want, while the Texbo has that compact look to it. The Saddleback does not. It has a massive footprint. So you compare side by side between the two bags and look at that footprint of the Saddleback compared to the Texbo. It's, I dare say, 2 to 3 times a larger footprint, which in terms of carrying, how much room it takes up when you put it down, putting it in your seat, putting it next to your desk, you always have to take into account that larger footprint. Texbo has the potential of expanding its footprint to that exact same size, but can also collapse down to a much smaller footprint. So when you don't fill up the bag that much, it still stands up on its own, but it takes up way, way less space, and you can slide this in between seats of the car, right next to your desk, in areas where the Saddleback doesn't fit. In the end, what you have are two very comparable briefcases that are separated in cost by nearly a whole order of magnitude. And whether or not that is of value to you is a decision you kind of have to make yourself.